this pandemic. Breaking connections to the world. Empowering language on humanity. Let's bring the world of learning in one channel. Welcome to Business Combinations English TV.
Hello, magandang buhay, Disibesians, and to other dear students. This is Mamay, your grade 10 English teacher, for another learning episode. To keep you updated with our educational videos, just click that subscribe button in our channel, Disibes MNHS English TV. We are now in the second week of Quarter 1 in your Pivot 4A Learner's Pocket. And today, we are going to talk about textual aids in understanding the texts. The objectives in this week's lesson: you are expected to identify information portrayed in graphics and other nonlinear texts, and convert nonlinear information to textual information, and vice versa. Now, before we proceed in our lesson proper, let's have a short recap of last week's topic about the various sources of information. I am going to show you a few pictures and I want you to determine what type of source is given. Ready? Okay, let's take a look at the first picture. This is the World Almanac and Book of Facts that was published in year 2010. What kind of info source is this? You are correct. This is a tertiary source. Let's have another one. This illustration shows a public document issued by the government. What is this source of information? That's right. This is a primary source, since this is an authentic or an original information. And the last picture? It is a world history book. Yes, this is basically a second-hand information that makes it a secondary source. So, let's not forget about these three sources of information, okay? We have primary, secondary, and tertiary source. Now, let's proceed to our lesson proper. What is your idea when you hear textual aids? What do you have in mind? Is it about a text or character, or more of pictures that illustrate information? Class, textual aids may include diagrams, graphs, flowcharts, tables, maps, and other graphic organizers. These textual aids are known as text features. These are visual elements on a page that stand out from the main text, and these textual aids will help you and the readers to better understand and interpret the texts that you are reading. In this lesson class, it is important that you know the difference between linear and non-linear texts. Take note that the main difference between the two is the so-called reading path or the reading pattern. Let us define what a linear text first. A linear text is a traditional text that needs to be read from the beginning to end to make sense of the text. The examples of linear texts are short stories, novels, letters, and educational texts, meaning to say, in linear texts, the content is displayed in a straight line of paragraphs and pages from beginning to end. And sometimes, this type of reading may appear a bit boring to some readers. Now, non-linear text, on the other hand, is not required to be read from beginning to end, since its reading path is non-sequential. The examples of non-linear texts are graphic organizers, concept maps, diagrams, charts, and other visual aids. In short, nonlinear texts are the same with the textual aids that we have just discussed a while ago. Now that you already know the difference of linear from nonlinear text, let us now discuss how do we transcode or change linear text to nonlinear and vice versa. Transcoding linear to nonlinear text and vice versa is a skill that you have to be familiar with, and since it can be used in our everyday lives. Now, here's how you can translate linear to nonlinear text by following these simple steps. Step 1. Read the text and get the main idea. Step 2. Extract necessary information for the visual presentation. Step 3. Remember to use keywords or phrases only. Step 4. Classify information into categories. And the last step, Step 5. Make sure to use the correct nonlinear text to present the information. Remember that these steps will help you transform a linear text or the traditional reading article into a nonlinear, which is using textual aids so that you can easily understand the information. Now, let's talk about some nonlinear texts that you may use in transcoding or simplifying information. The first one is the so-called cause and effect diagram. This diagram emphasizes the connection between the different concepts and is sometimes called as the beneficial organizer because it can be applied to all subject areas. This is more known as the fishbone or Ishikawa diagram. The fishbone or Ishikawa diagram takes its name from the fact that it resembles a fish skeleton. It is best to use in showing cause and effect. The head represents the problem, and the causes are grouped together into categories. Now, there are 4 steps in using the fishbone diagram. First, state the problem. Then, define your categories. Third, brainstorm each category. Then lastly, analyze your results. Another nonlinear text comes in the form of a flow diagram or a flow chart. This is a sequence chart that shows a series of events in order. If you have a concept that has steps such as processes or sequence, the flow diagram is the applicable textual aid organizer. A flowchart is a schematic representation of an algorithm or a process. So, if you want to explain a step-by-step procedure in a process, well, a flow diagram or a flowchart like this one is the best one to use. Here's another non-linear text in the form of a Venn diagram. I'm sure everybody is almost familiar with this since most of the time this is used to identify, classify, categorize, and recognize similarities and differences of 2 or more subjects, ideas, thoughts, or concepts. This is called as the most commonly used textual aid. This instructional tool can be found in teacher resource materials, examinations, handouts, and others. Here's an example of a Venn diagram showing similarities and differences of a tomato and an apple. The part where the 2 circles intersect shows the similarities of the 2, and on each side of the circle illustrates their differences. Now, let's talk about another nonlinear text in the form of graphic organizers. These are visual displays that have key component information. These textual aids provide learners with structure for abstract concepts. These are usually created and designed for those who have trouble organizing information and thoughts. Now, other forms of these graphic organizers and non-textual information include concept maps, graphs, and the like, spider map, pictograph, infographics, and other related images. And now to sum up the main differences of a linear and non-linear text, here are some key points to remember. By definition, class, a linear text refers to a traditional one that needs to be read from beginning to end. That is the common type. While the non-linear text refers to text that does not need to be read from beginning to end. The reading path of a linear text is sequential, while non-linear is non-sequential. When it comes to content, in a linear text, it includes printed texts, and it focuses on the arrangement of words grammatically, stylistically, while non-linear uses digital texts with visual aids or elements. When it comes to efficiency, it will take time to find information that the readers are searching for, unlike in non-linear, wherein it allows the readers to find information easily or more efficiently. The examples of linear texts are novels, poems, letters, textbooks, articles, newspapers, and others. While the examples of non-linear, we have flowcharts, graphs, tables, diagrams, concept maps, timelines, and other visual aids. And now for our learning activities this Monday, examine the poster below and work on learning task number 1. Using the given infographic on COVID-19 Philippine Situationer issued by the Department of Health, answer the following questions in your answer sheet. Also answer learning task number 2, wherein you're going to choose the letter of your answer and write your answers in your notebook or in your answer sheet. This is a 10-item learning task. On Tuesday, you're going to work on learning task number 4. You have to answer this. What is your favorite dish or dessert recipe? In your answer sheet, present the steps in preparing or cooking your favorite food using a flowchart or a diagram. On Wednesday, you're going to answer learning task number 5. In your notebook or answer sheet, transform the text below into a non-textual information source. This is about sharks and whales. Also, work on learning task number 6, wherein you are going to transcode the information below into paragraph form. So this is basically transcoding a non-linear text into linear. And lastly, on Thursday, you're going to answer or work on assessment, learning task number 7. You're going to identify what is asked in each item. Write only the letters of your answers in your notebook. That is also a 10-item task. And that ends our lesson in week 2 in quarter 1. Once again, this is Mamay saying, always be safe and happy learning. Thanks for watching.